Sports Tonight, Rugby League's people power. The fight to keep South Sydney alive. Jonah makes England look like bunnies. And Craig Parry pulls another rabbit out of the hat. Hello, I'm Leanne West and welcome to this late edition of Sports Tonight. Another big show ahead.
I'm only happy when it rains. I'm only happy when it's complicated. And no, I know you can't appreciate it. I'm only happy when it rains.
First, a game that's been through the ringer. Court battles, mergers, big business and loss of tradition. But today, Rugby League was reclaimed by the fans. Tens of thousands expressing their anger at plans to cut the competition to 4 teams. At the forefront, the endangered South Sydney Rabbitohs, a proud old club that just refuses to die.
Rabbitohs, you're doing us proud.
An estimated crowd of about 20,000, all wanting to stand alone but fight together.
It's not about the dollar. It's about the fabric of society that South and West and Balmain and those clubs that have been here for nearly 100 years.
A day when the steps of Sydney's Town Hall became a soapbox and the masses soaked up every word. From a faxed message from the federal opposition leader.
People should be careful when they tamper with the soul. And the soul of the game of rugby league is bound up with its clubs.
To the juniors.
From the very first day in 1908, when the South Sydney Rabbitohs were founded, their spirit and determination has never been questioned.
To the high-profile supporters, this was about emotion and passion.
Today will go down in history as one of the greatest days this club has ever seen, and a long history we've got.
When you'd go to Redfern or you'd go to Sydney Cricket Ground and it'd get rained on and you'd get soaked and there was no money and there was no cover and you loved it and you went home and you loved it.
Don't get near Murdoch. He's a gutless bludger.
The feeling best underlined by a South Sydney great, renowned for once playing with a broken jaw. Today, breaking only into song.
As I've already said, we only want the red in the good old red and green. Up the Rabbitohs!
The rally began with supporters walking from the Rabbits' traditional home base of Redfern. The leader of this whole campaign determined to show that the people can own football forever, not just the streets for a day.
We do exist, and will exist as long as you people support us, as long as you back us.
My sister did this jumper for me in the mid-60s when South was not so good, then they come good again. You're following through bad times, you're following through good times, and you don't sell them out.
While red and green dominated the crowd, support too from rival clubs. The NRL will announce this Friday its 14 teams for next year's competition. When that happens, the biggest certainty is although Rugby League has entered the off-season, the games are just about to begin.
South Sydney! South Sydney! South Sydney!
In a little under an hour, Australia's rugby union team faces its first real challenge of the World Cup. They'll take on Ireland at Dublin's famous Lansdowne Road, and the Wallabies have every reason to be cautious.
Lansdowne Road is one of the great rugby stadiums, and for the Irish, this is a holy place. It's a daunting task for the Aussies. Even a former New South Wales winger is lining up in a green jumper.
We're up against it, but at the same time, we put some good form on the board last week, and with the home crowd at Lansdowne Road shouting for us, I think they're in for a tough afternoon.
The Australians are relying on a hardy bunch of tour supporters to help them through.
The army is growing. I think it'll be good.
Playmaker Steve Larkham is keeping his cool, a huge comeback match after injuring his thumb. Matt Cobain forced to sit out the game with a thigh injury. It's being rated as Ireland's biggest test in 20 years. The Aussies too expecting a tough time.
This is going to be the hardest game of our pool. So we have been concentrating a lot obviously on Ireland.
The last time these two sides met, there was just 6 points in it. The Irish looking for revenge on home turf.
And overnight, New Zealand firmed in cup favouritism. A big win over the Northern Hemisphere's best hope, England.
It was the clash of the championship so far, humongous, showing what World Cup rugby is all about.
Wilson!
New Zealand led 10-0 just 18 minutes in. By half-time, it was 13-6. But the break sparked an England fight back.
It's a try. It's a try!
It was exactly what fans had been waiting for, 16-all in a game to remember, mostly thanks to Jonah Lomu's return to his barnstorming best.
Lomu! Again! It's 1995 all over again!
Only on the field for 5 minutes, and Byron Kelleher wrapped it up for the Kiwis.
And the young man comes into the game and scores!
A perfect night for Andrew Mertens, nailing 18 points with the boot.
Straightens it up, and it's a 7-pointer now.
And tears flowed following Romania's 27-25 win over the US. The Romanians now on top of the Pool E table, albeit temporarily.
The overnight scores and the All Blacks looking awesome. Romania just beat the States, Wales flogged Japan, and Fiji 38, Canada 22. Now a treat for those who reckon the AFL season ended too soon. Essendon and Hawthorn travelling halfway around the world for an exhibition game. Locals and expats filled the London ground for their annual taste of live Aussie rules. And they weren't disappointed. Essendon dominated early, leading by 23 points at quarter time. But in a spirited fight back, the Hawks wrestled for control, closing the gap to less than a goal. They ran out of time, the Bombers holding on by 3 points. With the footy codes still going, today the start of the domestic cricket season. A steamy Sydney day for the Mercantile Mutual one-dayer between New South Wales and Victoria.
Michael Bevan won the toss, but it was Victorian captain Paul Rifle who struggled to find his line. David Saker got the early breakthrough, but a 99-run partnership between Corey Richards and Bevan followed.
Well, that's well struck. And
this spectator missing the catch and the $1,000 prize. The search for quick runs brought Bevan undone on 41.
Chance here at mid-off, Vimpani, and he's grabbed it.
Graham Rummins and Richards put on a quick-fire 70 before Richards holed out on 75.
Yes!
Saker almost knocked Shane Lee off his feet, and while Ian Harvey and Paul Rifle looked for direction, Rummins had no such doubts. Before some improvisation brought him undone on 45. Ian Harvey was on a hat-trick after dismissing Lee, but Higgs finished off in style. The Blues 6 for 240. The Bushrangers got off to a flying start. Elliott and Vimpani both finding the fence and both benefiting from dropped chances.
Out, dropped.
Elliott brought up his 50 with a 6. Vimpani joined him 3 overs later. Both players racing towards 100.
Oh, he smashed that one.
A record 194-run opening stand as the Bushrangers cruised towards victory. The partnership ended when speedster Brett Lee got one through Vimpani's defences.
Got him!
Brad Hodge kept the runs coming until he became Lee's second victim. At the other end, Elliott cruised to a much-needed ton. That left Laurie Harper to hit the winning runs. The Bushrangers victorious by 7 wickets in the 46th over.
And the Vics home comfortably thanks to that big opening stand between Elliott and Vimpani. Corey Richards and Graham Rummins, the best with the bat for the Blues. To golf, and Craig Parry's becoming the Houdini of Australia's Dunhill Cup team. 2 days ago, he got us out of strife with a final hole flurry against Japan. And today against Scotland, he was at it again.
Grey clouds hung over St Andrews, but Craig Parry was responding to pressure. His magical short game again setting up the win.
That's a truly wonderful putt from there by Craig Parry.
Peter O'Malley bowed out to Paul Laurie, but Stephen Leaney was 3 shots better than Gary Orr. Australia's hopes again pinned on Parry, a 25-foot putt proving the difference.
Gone in the left-hand corner.
And another stirring performance by Sergio Garcia inspired Spain's comeback against Ireland.
Oh, look at this. What a shot. That didn't go higher than 10 feet off the ground.
The 19-year-old carded his 3rd successive 67 to down Darren Clark on the final hole by 1 stroke.
In a row to win.
Thank you. And it's in.
The scores again lock when Miguel Jimenez stepped up to secure a spot in the semis.
He's done it on the last, he's done it on the first.
Spain will meet South Africa, who remained on course for a 3rd consecutive title after they beat England 3-0. And the United States needed a 3-0 win against Sweden, but the top seeds couldn't find form.
Well, he might have won this hole by 2 shots. In the end, he loses it by 1.
The Americans bowing out, Sanderlin left to tap Sweden through to the semis.
Well done, Jarmo Sanderlin, a round of 71.
A look at the final round robin scores, and the results went Australia's way. Our team would have missed the semis had Paraguay beaten Japan. The semi-finals will see South Africa versus Spain and Australia versus Sweden. Craig Parry thriving on the team approach to the game.
Well, it is very different, because normally, as you say, you're playing individual golf and you know, playing for your country and playing for a lot of pride. You know, when you miss a putt, you're not only missing it for yourself, you're missing it for everyone who's involved in it. And you know, I come over from Australia, so I don't want to go home early. It's really a good test of golf, and there's always some little trouble out there if you do something wrong.
We're disappointed that the U.S. team didn't really compete up to the standards that I think we would have liked to had coming in. And it's disheartening, but that's the way golf is.
You're watching Sports Tonight. After the break, all the latest motorsport. We'll be back with the wild world of bikes, the 500s from South Africa and the superbikes from Japan. And 3 letters that spell more sport. NSL.
International celebration, heroes, winners, what a sensation.
This Saturday and Sunday, the 1999 Honda Gold Coast Indy on 10.
I used to tell myself that I could give up smoking any time. Then I did. 4 times. This time, I got some help. Nicobate lets me down gradually, taking the edge off the cravings. It isn't easy, but there's help every step of the way. With Nicobate, you can start with the highest strength patch and gradually step down until you free yourself of the need. With willpower, Nicobate can help you stay calm, in control, and quit.
Your pharmacist will advise you whether this preparation is suitable for your condition.
You really got me going. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing now. Yeah, you really got me going. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing now. Oh yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I can't live at night. You really got me.
The powerful Magnum V6. One drive and you're hooked. Mitsubishi.
What can I do? I'm crazy about.
When you're really in love, it's diamonds from Rosendorf's.
You want a bite, mate?
Oh, no thanks, mate.
Sure?
Look out for the bigger Snickers. It's got an extra bite.
Hello, I'm Paul McDermott.
And I'm Sandra Sully. Bob Downs. Here for the ARIA Music Awards.
With special guests Mel C.
Garbage Powderfinger.
Tim Friedman, Spiderbait.
Celine Dion.
Oh, you're a liar. The 1999 ARIA Music Awards. Tuesday night, 7:30.
You could have had my eye out then.
Grow up.
In the National Soccer League, a thriller in Perth between the Glory and Marconi. A total of 6 goals scored. Perth starting the flood after 10 minutes through 18-year-old Ivan Ergic. Marconi exposed the Perth defence after half an hour. Despite Tony Frankett's efforts, Sean Babbage couldn't miss. The Stallions went ahead a minute into the second half. Chad Gibson with the strike. Perth responding with a pair of goals to lead 3-2. But with the game won, the Glory fell asleep. Babbage's long-range effort earning the Stallions a point. And Oceania champions South Melbourne wasted no time getting onto the board against Northern Spirit. The scores there. A draw between Perth and Marconi. Wins for South Melbourne, Sydney Olympic and Sydney United. Tadayuki Okada has piled more pressure on World 500cc Championship leader Alex Criville. The Japanese rider has pole for tonight's South African Grand Prix. Okada backing up last weekend's Australian GP win at Phillip Island with a flying final lap in qualifying, stopping the clock 0.3 of a second ahead of the second fastest, Max Biaggi. American Kenny Roberts Jr., who also has a mathematical chance of overtaking Criville for the world title, finished fourth fastest. His bid for a quick time on the final lap, taking him right off course. And a look at the times now, the top three: Okada, Biaggi, Gibernau. Alex Criville, who has a broken wrist and a case of the flu, he's on the second row. He'll become the first Spaniard to win the World Championship if he takes 9 more points than Okada tonight. That race, of course, in full right after Sports Tonight. In round 13 of the Superbikes, a day for local heroes. Japanese riders dominating at home, but Australia's Troy Corser took a slide in the rankings.
Starting cleanly in race 1, Carl Fogarty showed the pack why he's number 1. With the world title already stitched up, he raced for pride. Attention closing in on Australian Troy Corser in the battle for overall runner-up.
Noriyuki Haga almost gives us a bit of Troy Corser. What a shot that is. Troy Corser's rear end at speed.
With tyre trouble, Fogarty slipped to second, finishing behind Japan's Akira Rio. It was a different story in race 2, a slip of concentration costly for some. But when it came to keeping control, it was all with the Japanese, line honours to Akira Yanagawa. Overall, New Zealand's Colin Edwards placed second in the championship behind Fogarty, Corser slipping to third.
Rodney Crick has extended his lead in the Australian Super Truck Nationals after today's wet and wild fourth round at Winton. Glenn Dobson started from pole position in race 1 but was swamped by Crick on the first bend, then beached his truck. The race was then between Crick and Inky Tulloch. Tulloch lucky to return to the circuit after running wide on a bend. Crick went on to win the first race from Tulloch. The positions were reversed in race 2.
Might look easy, but it's 1,100 horsepower in these conditions, and there's so much control and mental to try to keep the truck straight, and that it was a great race and I enjoyed it.
The grand final of the Super Truck Nationals will be held at Sydney's Oran Park in 2 weeks' time. The excitement's building on the Gold Coast for next weekend's Honda Indy with a major delivery today. $60 million worth of gear unloaded from 2 planes at Brisbane Airport. It's a huge logistical exercise with 62 cars and 16,000 pounds of equipment per team. A convoy of trucks ferrying the goods to the track on the Gold Coast. And thousands of Sydney-siders took up the challenge to work out with a Commonwealth Games gold medalist at the Domain today. Marathon mum Heather Turlin taking them through an aerobics workout before the real race got underway. The 99 corporate team challenge raises money for multiple sclerosis. Rebel Sports setting the early pace in the 4x4K race and holding on for the win. Heather running for Westpac, she finished third. But the day was more about having a good time and raising money for charity. Let's take a break, but we'll come back swinging from both sides. And our Olympic Profile series features Jackie Cully, a young athlete with more than just a spring in her step.
Your aim is for Sydney 2000, but I still think it's that feeling of being free in the air, obviously.
Loaded or wrong, and further from right, spinning around.
.30 Monday on 10, Guinness World Records prime time.
The Paris-Dakar Rally, 7,000 kilometres across the scorching deserts of North Africa. In a race that most don't even finish, the mighty Pajero has dominated. Its nearest rival, the mid-sized Mitsubishi Challenger. Now Mitsubishi has developed the Pajero EO, all the toughness and durability you'd expect, but in a more compact form. Mitsubishi, the toughest four-wheel drives from here to Timbuktu.
It is Mitsubishi.
When your car starts singing when you turn the key, with the cylinders in perfect harmony.
Win a trip for two to this year's Melbourne Cup flying Ansett Australia next time your car's serviced, repaired or fitted with an immobiliser at UltraTune. Fill in the entry form and place it in the box provided, and you could be at this year's Melbourne Cup.
It's music to your ears, full service or tune. When your whole car's singing, it's ultra-tuned.
Hey, Berkey, phone. Berkey.
Connect to Vodafone before November 7 for your chance to win up to $25,000, and you'll get a World Cup winning deal that's a real knockout. Vodafone and the Wallabies?
Paving season is now on at Midland. Pavers flying out from a low $12.90 a square metre. Get ready to pave with Midland Brick.
Welcome back. Britain's Tim Henman remains online to defend his Swiss indoor championship after easily disposing of Goran Ivanisevic in the semi-final. Ivanisevic had no answer to the Englishman, who dominated serve and return from the moment the match started. Henman taking the first set 6-3 before cleaning up the second inside the hour.
6-3, 6-4.
He'll now meet Karol Kachira, who also won in straight sets, taking his semi against Nicholas Kiefer 6-4, 6-3. The third round of the Michelob Classic in Virginia, and the battle for top spot on the leaderboard was anything but tranquil. Canadian Mike Weir was the man they were chasing. His approach on 11, typical of the shots that got him in front. Two-time defending champion David Duval wasn't far behind either, a birdie on 17 taking him to 4 under. But while Weir was in front, his day wasn't without disappointment. This shot on 17 just wouldn't drop, the bogey bringing his lead back to 1. Now to our Olympic series, Australian Dreams, and today, one of those stories about a youngster who's had a hard time keeping her feet on the ground. But as Rebecca Joyce reports, it's all for the right reasons.
High, Jackie Cully has been at the top of her sport for over 10 years. But according to this trampolinist, she hasn't yet reached her pinnacle. She's the golden girl of her sport, reaching for the stars in 2000. An international flyer for Australia since 1989.
Your aim is for Sydney 2000, but I still think it's that feeling of being free in the air, obviously.
Trampolining will be on stage for the first time in Sydney as part of gymnastics. Routines taking little more than 20 seconds, 10 jumps, 10 manoeuvres, and like gymnastics, scored out of 10 by 3 judges.
It's got to be the somersault every time.
Longtime friend and coach Fred Austin means the earth to Jackie, grounding the 24-year-old since she was 6.
He's always been a tough coach, and I think that's what you appreciate. I like the self-discipline. It's what gets you this far.
Well, I'm the fellow that cracks the whip. Actually, I love her dearly. She's like a member of my family. If she wasn't doing trampolining, she could be anything she wanted to be.
I felt okay, except for I could feel my legs apart at the end.
Yeah. Helping Jackie into orbit, training partner and leading gymnast Jai Wallace.
If you're having a bad night or you're not feeling so motivated, then, or vice versa, he'll help you out or I'll help him out. And I think it's just that relationship that we've developed.
Another essential part of the balancing act for many amateur elite athletes, trying to hold down a job.
Contrary to expectations, once you have a job as well as your training, you end up being a better athlete and performing better.
Sporting legend Herb Elliott very supportive of the Olympic Job Opportunities program.
You're looking at 15.4% charge with 55 days interest-free, which is quite good.
Just we've been overseas probably, I think, 4 or 5 times this year already, and they're just so supportive, and it's good to know you come back to a job and it's not a problem. I even get customers that come in and say, I bought a ticket today to see you at the Olympics in Sydney, and it just makes you feel so good.
With a little help from her Olympic family, Jackie's well on her way to realising her dreams of flight.
$9:30 Monday on 10. It's the catch of the day.
I'm desperately hoping this isn't a story about sexually transmitted diseases.
What's the difference between crabs and lobsters? Crabs walk sideways. Oh my God, I've got lobsters.
Good News Week, 9:30 Monday.
You better get moving or you could miss the Mazda 40-day sale. Get into the 40th year special edition Estina packed with extras for only $26,190. But you better get in quick.
Oscom Car Audio. Sounds like you're there. Call into one of our stores today.
Still talking to customers, this time about the Hardy fence.
Our old grey fence blew over in a storm.
So we went for the strength of neater screen steel.
With a choice of colour-on colours, I didn't have to paint it myself.
The Dahlia Steel Fencing installed it right.
With an exclusive Lysac Gold warranty.
And that's a 10-year replacement guarantee.
The Dahlia Steel Fencing. Still the one for neater screen and mini screen.
Net als kring, zien breaker.
We still got it.